Welcome to the 10-Minute Mind Shift Podcast. I'm your host, Janet Cagle, certified life coach, weight loss coach, and lover of all things related to upleveling my life and yours. My goal is to help you get one step closer to your goal, whatever it is. My goal is not to keep you wrapped up in self-help all day, just 10 minutes. And who doesn't have 10 minutes, right? Welcome back, friends. This is episode number 111, and I'm calling this Intentional Time. This year is devoted to creating an intentional life versus living at the effect of life happening to you, a life by design. So I hope that you're following along and applying this work in an effort to create your best year ever. Before we get started, I want to bring you up to date with what's been going on with the Cagles. We went to Texas. We went to Texas at the beginning of May to see my baby sister cross the stage to accept her master's in nursing. And we were in the company of her 4 children, her husband, and one of my sisters, and her daughter, and her children. It was so much fun. And talk about being an example of being intentional with time. Baby sister, you nailed it. Both Steve and I felt so full after that weekend. It was the best. I cannot wait to experience the wedding of my nephew Christian and his fiancée Krista, who, by the way, is a legit, real deal horsewoman. She actually makes her living working at her horse ranch, and training horses. She is such a glow up for the family. And again, she exemplifies what it's like to be intentional with time. Then at the end of May, I took my daughter to New York City for the weekend for a couple of Broadway musicals, and I'm not even exaggerating. New York City was magical. We had the best time, and I don't know why New Yorkers get such a bad rap. We had the best time, felt safe, and got the best service. I highly recommend it. Both trips gave me the opportunity to observe and exercise the benefits of this episode's topic of being intentional with your time. Although I love teaching on time management and talking about time management skills, today I want to talk about why and how being intentional with your time is so important when you are creating a life by design. Ready? Let's do this. As humans, the way we think about time is so fascinating to me. Over 40 years ago, when I started my personal development journey, time was one of the things I studied. Why? Because I thought it was one of the things that was an obstacle between me and a better life. My thoughts about time had a very negative effect on how I experienced my life. Because of our relationship with time, as humans, we tend to think we don't have enough time. We push through work when we are sick instead of taking time to rest. We don't get enough sleep for all of the things that we think need to be done today. I just saw an influencer post that 99% of daily issues can be solved by waking up at 5:45. Not only is that insanely inaccurate, but it's also dangerous. But that was me at one point in my life. That was totally me. I decided to become an expert with time, intentionally. When I'm mentoring people about what it takes for them or what it will take for them to start living a life by design or creating an outcome of their heart's desire, time is always either the number 1 or number 2 reason that they give me when I ask them why they are not living their life by design now. It's the reason we think many things in our lives are not happening. And even when the goal is closer than we think, we are often met with the notion that it's still not happening fast enough. Just another thought about time. The weight isn't coming off fast enough, or I'm not seeing changes in my body fast enough, or I should be further along in my career. Another idea about time that's so fascinating is we have this notion, or we have this idea that at some point in the future, things will be better than they are right now. The kids will be grown or be more independent or out of the house, and you'll have more time. And then I've seen this happen over and over again. We get the kids grown and gone, and then something else takes up the time instead of pursuing the goal, whatever the goal is. Something to remember as it relates to time is our brain is wired for a scarcity mindset. It's wired for never having enough, and that includes time. So left unmanaged, it will affect how we experience the time that we do have. And you know this. None of us knows how much time that is. And isn't it interesting that as it relates to how long we may have on this planet and in this life, we tend to think in terms of, well, who knows? So who cares? I want to offer something to think about. And this is a question that I have been asking myself a lot lately. If this were my last day, what will I have wanted to accomplish? What will I have wanted to experience? What will I have wanted others to have experienced from knowing me? What will be important to me on my last day? And then the work becomes to focus on those things daily. When I did this exercise, I really had to start questioning the way I'm pursuing my bronze medal. Not that I am pursuing it, but about how I was pursuing it. I'm still asking myself those questions, so maybe more on that later. As it relates to our trip to New York, I want to share a personal experience with you that might help exemplify this. As you know, I have stated before, I do not have the traveler bug or the explorer bug at all, and my daughter does not either, yet quality time is actually her love language, not necessarily traveling to do it. But both of us have brought up the idea of going to New York City for a couple of shows for years and years and years. I have had this topic of intentional time on my brain for a while, and so I actually applied a similar line of questioning to myself for this trip with my daughter. If this were one of my only trips to New York City, what do I want to have experienced? What do I want to remember? And how do I want New York to remember me? What do I want my daughter to remember? How do I want her to experience this event? Now, I know I can't manage her thoughts, and her thoughts are what creates her experience. But as a fellow human being, I can for sure be influential with that by how I show up. We decided to be very intentional with how we experienced New York. What I think of when I think of New York, I think of everyone walking everywhere, and I think of the vibration of the city. I think of pizza, cheesecake, and street food. I think of Saks Fifth Avenue, Central Park, Trump Tower. We both had similar trains of thought, and so being very intentional with how we wanted to experience New York gave us the blueprint and the framework. If we had just landed in New York City without intention, just knowing how we are, I think we might have spent most of our time trying to decide what to do instead of just doing it. The idea that I want to impart with you today is know by deciding exactly how you want to experience the day, the moment, the event. Decide ahead of time and don't let circumstances determine how you experience your day. And by circumstances, I mean those things that happen outside of your control. You might be wondering how to do that when you have no idea what's going to happen outside of your control. And that, my friends, is why this work can be so hard. And I'll be the first to tell you, it is so much easier to just live in response to the world around you, but that is not going to help you create the way you want to experience your life. When you live with your mind unmanaged, you are living at the effect of things happening to you. Your unintentional thoughts are creating the life that you are experiencing. Bad things happen to you and to me and many other undeserving people every day, and yet we get to decide exactly how to respond to each and everything. We do that through intentionality. I have another personal experience to illustrate, and this is real time. So I'm tooling around, living my life, feeling pretty healthy and strong, and then bam, I find out that I have to deal with a thing. I find out that my body is creating antibodies that attack my body. What? It's not life-threatening, but it is life-altering. I guess it could be life-threatening if it went undiagnosed, but it for sure is life-altering. I'm still in the process of figuring out some things, but here are my choices. I can be upset, I can be scared, I can be confused and all of those things, or I can be determined and I can be confident in the doctors and the care and curious about the process and the options available to me and supportive of whatever is prescribed. I can be interested in alternatives and I can be brave. I can also use what I learn about my diagnosis to help others. I get to choose how I experience it. I don't get to choose whether I do or not. I only get to choose how. Does that make sense? And let me be perfectly clear. It doesn't mean that I don't have moments of doubt and fear and frustration and even anger, but I don't let that be the driver of this experience. So, To wrap up this example with this topic, it's important to be intentional with my time. The time that I have with my doctors, asking questions, writing things down. It'll be important to be intentional with my time and reading and becoming aware of things that I can do to support my body. It's not time to be willy-nilly and just take life as it comes. Being intentional with my time and intentional with how I want to experience this event will be how I experience my life, even that part of my life that is beyond my control. This week, don't let time manage you. You manage it intentionally. And if you don't have a clue how to get started, for sure, I can help. This week, add a layer of focus to how you are spending your time and ask yourself if what you are doing is in support of how you would like to experience your life if you knew this was your last day. Is what you're doing in support of what is important to you, or are you kind of willy-nilly winging it and getting through the day and just hoping tomorrow is better? Be intentional with your time, my friend. All right, that is what I have for you today. And now, go have the best day ever.
That's a wrap. I hope that you were able to experience a mind shift of your own today. Listen, if you love this podcast, you should totally check out my Life by Design 6-week boot camp. It's a work at your own pace workshop and something that you can do over and over and over again to uplevel your results and get ready for a transformation at the speed of life.